The Six-Day War of June 1967 was a brief conflict, yet also a defining moment in the history of the Middle East, profoundly shaping the region's geopolitics, sparking ongoing tensions, and highlighting the intricate nature of the Israeli-Arab conflict. It was caused by a multitude of factors which will be investigated. Hostilities were sparked by long-standing tensions in the Middle East. Israel launched a pre-emptive strike, swiftly capturing territories including the Sinai Peninsula, Gaza Strip, West Bank, East Jerusalem, and the Golan Heights. The war reshaped regional borders and intensified the Israeli-Arab conflict. Israel's control of East Jerusalem, including the Old City, remains a central point of contention. UN Resolution 242 called for a land for peace, but implementing it has proven challenging. The war's legacy continues to influence Middle East geopolitics and remains central to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Background. The conflict leading up to the Six-Day War was deeply rooted in decades of political and territorial disputes, as well as cultural and religious factors. The Arab-Israeli conflict had been ongoing since the establishment of the State of Israel in 1948, with disputes over borders, Palestinian refugees, and the status of Jerusalem. The immediate tensions leading to the war were fueled by political and military maneuvering on both sides, particularly the concentration of troops along the borders. The situation was exacerbated by the 1956 Suez Crisis, where Israel, France, and the United Kingdom had jointly intervened in response to Egypt's nationalisation of the Suez Canal. This event had heightened regional tensions and rivalries, paving the way for further hostilities. After the Suez Crisis, however, Egypt agreed to the stationing of a United Nations emergency force in Sinai to ensure all parties would comply with the 1949 armistice agreements. In the years that followed, Israel had some minor border clashes with its Arab neighbours, mainly Syria. This led to Egypt, Jordan, and Syria signing mutual defence treaties, and after false reports from the Soviet Union that Israel was massing on the Syrian border, Egypt began massing their troops in two defensive lines in the Sinai Peninsula on Israel's border, and then expelled the United Nations emergency force from Gaza and Sinai a few days later, taking their positions at Sharm el-Sheikh, overlooking the Straits of Tiran. The Israeli strike. On the 1st of June, Israel formed a national unity government by widening its cabinet, and on the 4th of June, the decision was made to go to war. The next morning, Israel launched Operation Focus, a large-scale surprise airstrike that started the Six-Day War. On the morning of the 5th of June 1967, Israel launched a preemptive strike on Egypt, targeting its air force and swiftly gaining air superiority. This rapid and decisive move incapacitated Egypt's military capabilities and set the stage for further Israeli military actions. Israeli defense forces were heavily outnumbered, with a total of 264,000 soldiers, of which 100,000 were deployed fighting the war. In comparison, combined Arab forces numbered 567,000, of which 240,000 were deployed. The difference was made, however, in training and weaponry, with the Israelis possessing modern American and NATO weaponry, which vastly outmatched the dated Soviet weaponry possessed by the Arab states. The Israelis took the initiative and launched simultaneous attacks on their neighbouring states. Within 6 days, Israel captured significant territories. From Egypt, they took control of the Sinai Peninsula and the Gaza Strip. From Jordan, they captured the West Bank and East Jerusalem, including the Old City. In the north, they seized the Golan Heights from Syria. These territorial gains significantly expanded Israel's borders, reshaping the map of the Middle East. The capture of East Jerusalem, particularly the Old City, with its religious and historical significance, was one of the most symbolic and contentious aspects of the war. Israel's control over the entire city of Jerusalem was a point of deep dispute and set the stage for future conflicts. To this day, the status of Jerusalem remains a focal point in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict and is central to any potential peace negotiations. Aftermath. A ceasefire was signed on the 11th of June, bringing an end to the conflict. The aftermath of the Six-Day War brought about profound and far-reaching consequences. It resulted in the displacement of Palestinian populations, creating a new wave of refugees and exacerbating existing refugee issues. The war further deepened hostilities between Israel and its Arab neighbours, setting the stage for future conflicts and complicating peace efforts. It also resulted in significant casualties for such a short conflict, with the Israelis suffering 776 to 983 killed, 4,517 wounded and 15 captured, as well as 400 tanks and 46 aircraft destroyed. The Arab states were worse off, however, with a combined 21,000 killed, 45,000 wounded and 6,000 captured, as well as over 400 aircraft and hundreds of tanks destroyed. At the commencement of hostilities, both Egypt and Israel announced that they had been attacked by the other country first. The Israeli government later abandoned its initial position, acknowledging Israel had struck first, claiming that it was a pre-emptive strike in the face of a planned invasion by Egypt. On the other hand, the Arab view was that it was unjustified to attack Egypt. Many commentators consider the war as the classic case of anticipatory attack in self-defense. It has also been alleged that General Gamal Abdel Nasser did not want Egypt to learn of the true extent of his defeat, and so ordered the killing of Egyptian army stragglers making their way back to the Suez Canal zone. There have also been allegations from both Israeli and Egyptian sources that Israeli troops killed unarmed Egyptian prisoners. Another consequence of the war was the USS Liberty incident, which occurred on the 8th of June 1967, when the USS Liberty, a United States Navy electronic intelligence vessel sailing just 13 nautical miles off the Egyptian coast, outside of Egypt's territorial waters, was attacked by Israeli jets and torpedo boats, nearly sinking the ship, killing 34 sailors and wounding 171 more. Israel said the attack was a case of mistaken identity, and that the ship had been misidentified as the Egyptian vessel Al-Qasir. Israel apologized for the mistake and paid compensation to the victims or their families, and to the United States for the damage to the ship. After an investigation, the US accepted the explanation that the incident was friendly fire, and the issue was closed by exchange of diplomatic notes in 1987. Others, however, including the then United States Secretary of State Dean Rusk, Chief of Naval Operations at the time, Admiral Thomas Maurer, and some survivors of the attack, and intelligence officials familiar with transcripts of intercepted signals on the day, have rejected these conclusions as unsatisfactory and maintained that the attack was made in the knowledge that the ship was American. This incident will be explored in a future video, so make sure to subscribe so you don't miss that. In the aftermath of the war, the United Nations Security Council passed Resolution 242. This resolution called for the principle of land for peace, acknowledging the need for Israel to withdraw from the occupied territories in exchange for recognition and peace agreements with its Arab neighbours. The implementation of this resolution has proven challenging, with various peace initiatives and negotiations failing to achieve a lasting resolution. The Six-Day War's rapid and dramatic results continue to shape the Middle East today. Israel's acquisition of the territories, including the West Bank, Gaza Strip, Golan Heights, and East Jerusalem, has led to lasting disputes and ongoing conflict. The war marked a turning point in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, contributing to the tensions and complexities that persist in peace negotiations and diplomatic efforts. In conclusion, the Six-Day War was a short but highly significant conflict in the Middle East's history. Its background of political and territorial disputes, the Israeli preemptive strike, and the territorial gains made in just 6 days had profound and long-lasting impacts. The status of Jerusalem remains contentious, and UN Resolution 242 has outlined the framework for potential peace. The war's legacy continues to influence the region's politics, security, and international relations, underscoring its importance in the broader context of the Arab-Israeli conflict and the challenges of finding a lasting solution. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, then please give it a like, and for more amazing tales and thrilling stories, don't forget to subscribe to Uncovered Secrets. Also, hit the bell icon to stay notified for every release.